Welcome everyone. We just wanted to show you a quick recap of our 2015 World, and we hope you have a great experience or an even better one. This is Effective Leadership Strategies in FRC, presented by Team 1885, I Light Robotics. Again, we welcome you here. It is such a great experience, such a beautiful crowd out there. Everyone just here together, and congratulations on being here. If you're a volunteer, a student, if you're just here to check out all the excitement, thank you again for being here. So we just want to go over a very brief team history about us, just so that we can establish our credibility.
But before that, let me introduce everybody you see up here first. This is Omar Medwali. My name is Justine Swigai, and I'm the co-president of Team 1885 I Light Robotics.
Hi everyone, my name is Ria Ravenna and I'm the co-director of business on our team.
So we are going to lead this presentation. However, you do see more of us here up front, so I will go ahead and introduce our entire student leadership team. Here we have our two co-directors of programming, Ethan Billigan and O'Reilly. Two of our three co-directors of Build, Sam Spelsberg and Nicholas Lechner. We also have our two co-directors of Business and Outreach, Hannah Kumine and again Ria. My other co-president, Teddy. We have our director of integration, Keon. We have our lead of web development, Navia. We have our secretary, Julia. Our director of graphic design, Tony Lin, who, by the way, made the amazing videos you guys just saw, so another round of applause. And last but not the least, our two heads of social media, Johanna and Sarah. They'll be everywhere. They'll be everywhere here, and we also have one of our co-directors of electronics, Roland Bell. So now I will turn it over to Omar to lead you guys in.
I was just ready to jump into that, so let's get started. All right, so just a brief team history again. We just want to show you kind of what we do and who we are a little bit. So we are I Light Robotics. We started in 2005 as the RoboCats, but in 2008 we decided to rebrand into I Light, which stands for Inspiring Leaders in Technology and Engineering. So we started with the first championship Rookie All-Star Award in 2005, and that momentum has kind of kept us going. We've also won the Innovation and Control Award in 2014 for the first championship, 6 Chairman's Award in 5 consecutive years, 5 Engineering Inspiration Awards, 3 First Dean's List Finalist Awards, and 2 Woody Flowers Finalist Awards. And just so you know a little bit about our team, we've got 72 members, and each of them has an awesome job, and 20 student leaders, and we'll explain why we do this in a little, and I hope you enjoy. Alrighty.
So we have collected a few leadership quotes that I believe really reflect what we want leaders to follow or be, and we want you guys to also think about. So here, former World War II General Douglas MacArthur said, "A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. He does not set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the quality of his actions and the integrity of his intent." So this quote really reflects the values that we want leaders to have. So we want our student leaders and our team to do this, and we want leaders everywhere to really adapt these values.
Alright, so we have another quote from the greatest football coach of all time, Vince Lombardi. "Leaders aren't born, they are made, and they are made just like anything else, through hard work. And that's the price we'll have to pay to achieve that goal or any goal." So this kind of encapsulates what it means to be a student leader, right? Everything we do in robotics is about experience and learning and becoming better so we can make a better future. What we do as a leadership team is that we help younger students grow, but not only that, we help ourselves grow along with them.
Okay, so the final quote comes from Rosalind Carter, former First Lady during Jimmy Carter presidency. And a leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. So what that really means is that leaders are capable of looking at the big picture. They understand what people's strengths are, they understand what they're good at, understand what needs to get done on the team, especially when it applies to FRC robotics. And they may take someone who may not necessarily want to do a certain task, or they think a certain task might not be as important, and we show them it's important, everything that we do is important, and we repurpose them for what they should be doing.
So the 3 quotes we have gathered here are from different people, from different backgrounds, and different points of history. But one thing they do share is the importance of leadership, and that's what we want to relate today in this presentation.
Cool. So once again, I'm Roland, and I'm going to be leading you guys through a quick little task here. As I talk, people are going to hopefully start handing out paper. Each table is going to get 10 slices of paper, and you'll be given 4 minutes to build the highest tower possible. Afterwards, we'll have a small discussion about what you're learning from.
Okay, so everybody, we have to step back. Some of our judges will be looking around, and we'll have a short conversation of who won this challenge.
Wow, there was a lot of tall towers. I thought this would be a lot easier.
This is kind of hard to choose from, I think, Teddy.
Okay, let's see.
This one looks pretty tall to me right here.
I agree. I think this one also looks pretty tall, and also this one. And there's a tall one over there too. And also over there.
Alright, Teddy. I think this is the tallest. What do you think is the tallest?
That one?
I think it's the tallest. What do you think is the tallest?
Oh no! Oh no!
That one?
That one? Oh, wait. We really should have brought some measuring tape.
Alright, so who here thinks that this was the tallest?
In my opinion, I think this team right here has the tallest one. Okay, well, I heard a very loud cheer from their table. What about everyone else? What do you think? Do you think this was the tallest?
Alright. What about this one?
Alright.
You guys, they win.
That was really cool, guys. We saw a lot of great towers out there. So, can everyone be quiet for a second? We're going to continue our presentation. Awesome. So, everyone may have noticed, I saw myself, there were a few people in each table that would kind of stand up and take charge. So, did anyone notice anything specific that helped them with being a leader? Did any of the leaders show particular, like, a way of doing things that you noticed?
Initiative?
Yeah, initiative. Anyone else?
They weren't afraid to throw out ideas.
They weren't afraid to throw out ideas. Yes, sir.
Let's build upon other ideas instead of throwing out stuff.
Right, precisely. Kind of giving the ideas a chance to grow. So, did anyone else notice the people that kind of stood back a little, that didn't really say much? How much were their opinions heard? I mean, you didn't hear much from them. But then, some people even knew their place and realized that they have good ideas and they contributed them, but maybe they weren't the one to stand up and take charge of it, but just give the ideas. So everyone kind of fits into a place here, and that's kind of one of the reasons you see leadership grow. Anyways.
Alright, so now we're just going to talk a little bit about the importance of leadership. And to our team especially, it's very important. It's in our name. So I just have some general discussion questions. If you raise your hand, Johanna over there, we'll hand you a mic. Does anyone know what a leader is? And I know these are a little corny. Try to keep up with me. What is a leader?
Person that takes charge, maybe?
Yeah, I agree. And you took charge. There you go.
It's a person that plans and organizes.
That is precisely correct.
A leader is also a servant to others.
A servant to others, which is something we try to do on our team as well.
Someone that you can't function without.
This is true. So what are some qualities of an effective leader? Yes, you were.
They can bring out the full potential of the people working with them.
Yeah, so they give people a chance to grow. You, back there in the blue.
They're honest.
They are, yep. Over here, Calhack.
Someone who's a mediator.
I agree, yes. Number?
Oh, someone that kind of like builds on and like helps make future events happen, so they're not just focusing on the here and now, but they're preparing everybody else for it.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't hear, they're preparing others for the future. Back, orange. Yes, I agree. Red wristband. Yeah, you.
The ability, decisiveness, the ability to decide.
Okay. And last one, glasses right here.
Someone who can get the full potential out of everyone.
Yes. And so, what are some of the differences between a leader and a boss?
Yeah. Yep. A boss is somebody that you have to follow. A leader is somebody who you choose and want to follow.
Very nice.
Any other answers? Right over here. Yep.
A leader is someone that shows you how to do something. A boss is someone that tells you what to do.
All right.
Rhea, repeat what they say, please.
Okay. Someone who, I'm sorry, one more time.
Alright, someone who shows you what to do versus someone who tells you what to do.
Someone who shows you what to do versus someone who tells you what to do. All right. So our definition of a leader is someone who has a vision. They're able to let people work towards a common goal, which is part of the second bullet. Motivate and inspire others to carry out that vision. So they have to have a purpose, and they have to be able to inspire others to also carry out that same goal. They have to manage the execution of the vision. So like someone said, they have to plan and they have to organize and they have to be in charge. They also have to be able to effectively coach and grow the team, which is something a lot of other people touched on. They have to be able to inspire people. They have to be able to let them grow. So effective leaders can do all of this also while communicating efficiently, maintaining integrity, high ethical standards, showing enthusiasm and passion, and being aware of the team around them and the environment. And these are all points that people will talk about in the next couple slides. And lastly, some of the differences between leaders and bosses. We have that leaders develop people while a boss uses people. A leader is compassionate while a boss is impersonal. They don't really get to know their team members. A leader effectively delegates tasks. They don't keep everything to themselves. They let other people have the chance to do things on the team. And a boss micromanages. They don't really have trust in its members. So a leader must earn respect and inspire those around them. They have to see the big picture, the overall goal that they're trying to go and achieve. And a leader must treat everyone with respect.
All right, thanks, Rhea. My name is Hannah, and we're going to start talking about some of the responsibilities and authority you have as a leader. I think we can all agree that communication is pretty key when you have a big team. So I think that first teams are just groups of fantastically talented individuals. And that's what it is until you have communication, and then you have a unified team created to work towards the same goal. And so as a leader, you have to set an example for your team for what you want the communication within the team to look like. Some things you have to keep in mind are that you have to really show your team members that you have to communicate in a timely and appropriate manner. If you have anything that you want to notify your team members of, you want to do that ahead of time, not like the day of, because that's how you want your team to respond to you. You want them to be very timely. You also want to use respectful language, and a good way to do this is to talk to any underclassman or any student member just the same as you would be talking to an adult mentor, because I'm pretty sure that we would all like to see a team be respectful in all ways. And another thing you have to remember is to be very clear and concise with any message you're trying to get across. You don't have to be verbose, just get to the point, short and sweet. That's the best way to communicate. Something our team does is that we use very different platforms of communication depending on the situation. We like to use a group email that blasts out an email to every member on the team for things like the scheduling and location of different meetings and events. As we work in smaller groups or specific projects, we like to use things like group messaging apps or texting. So I would just look at the situation, see how many people you need to reach out to, and then choose accordingly. Something that really is the ability to trust people with working towards the big picture. So your big picture could be anything from building an amazing robot to creating an award-winning team by having an outreach plan. So what you have to do as a leader is understand that not one person can complete all of these things. So what you end up doing is delegating these tasks to, your other team members. And to be able to do that, you really have to learn what your peers are like. So you have to identify their strengths and weaknesses so that you can use these to know how capable a student is of doing specific things. So after you know what a student can do well, you can delegate tasks accordingly. This really encourages the collaboration and cooperation between team members, as one student's tasks may rely on the completion of another student's. You also need to learn to trust your team members with the tasks you give them. Be sure not to be that overbearing boss that wants to micromanage and tell them what to do. And another big thing about delegating these tasks is to focus on the big picture and make sure that your entire team knows that every small task they do works towards the same common goal.
Alright, hello again guys. I'm Ethan again. So one thing a leader needs to be is a unifying force within the team. You can't just fall apart. Basically the team's going to fall apart if you don't have someone who's unifying everyone, right? Unity is important at all stages. If it fails in one part, it's going to fail in all the other parts, and it becomes a domino effect, right? So unity among student leaders and within sub-teams, that's kind of how we run things, our structure. Inclusion of all members is also very key, right? No one wants to feel excluded, and that's just not a good thing. So being inclusive about everything, tying it back to the communicating with everyone, and then everyone's able to feel included. And one easy way to do that is to kind of make a common goal, right? Building a robot is a very easy common goal, and everyone can work towards that, and that becomes a unifying factor. So another thing is sustainability, and basically sustainability is the legacy of your team. It's training new prospective leaders to be the leaders of the future and keep on growing as a team and expanding, and every year should be better than the last, right? So encouraging growth and development of these new prospective leaders is important. Understand the interconnection of all sub-teams. If you don't understand how every single team works together, then you can't understand the system fully, and you can't be an effective leader. Shadowing is one thing we do, which is basically leading by example, right? So you have a prospective leader follow around a current leader, and they kind of figure out what sort of strategies, what sort of decisions are being made, and what sort of challenges that the leader has to deal with. And then always be thinking and working towards the future. That's a very key point, and I think that you can't expand upon that enough, that you always have to be progressing.
Alright, so another big thing about FRC teams is it takes a lot of time and effort. So you're going to want dedicated team members, not visiting team members who just stop by when they have the time. So that's something you really want to emphasize when you're recruiting and accepting new members, that, FRC in general just takes a lot of time out of your life. Having dedicated teams versus visiting team members really affects how productive your team is. So a good way to quantify and keep your team members accountable for this dedication is to have an organized system of attendance, which we have. So this is our spreadsheet for attendance. You can see everyone's names over there, their total hours, and then what we call lives. We start with 3 lives at the beginning of the season, and if you miss a mandatory event, we highlight that hour that you missed in red, and then you lose a life. But you can gain your lives back. No, this is a system for a reason. You can gain your lives back by working at voluntary events. So for us, this is things like the outreach events that we host, as well as setting up for competitions. And that's what you see in the green here. Those are our students earning their lives back. So you can see some students have more than 3 lives, some people have less. But this really keeps your team members accountable for how much time they're putting into their work and how often they have to come. So this is one way of doing it. We recommend that you find some sort of system of attendance that works so that you can see where members are failing to show up or having trouble showing up, and then you can easily point to this and talk about it. So that's something that we think all teams should do.
Okay guys, so we were just talking about how people need to be dedicated and that everyone needs to know what's going on in the team, and we have set standards and certain ways we run things. And so attendance was the example that Han just gave about a certain way that we do things. And so we're talking about right now the membership handbook, and it's every country, I mean a lot of countries, and in the US included, I know not everyone here is from the US, has a constitution or some sort of document that it's based upon. And so for us, it's the membership handbook. And so it prevents disputes because everything's written in stone for every member to see. And I like it a lot because at the beginning of the year, we have everyone read it, and they have to sign off and say that they know what's going on. And it outlines things such as the rules of the team, and then required events. An example that I would like to give is the kickoff day, because it's a fun day, we get to know the new game, and also it's when you make a lot of strategic decisions about how your team's going to progress into the year. And the way that we do it is it's set up so that we have small teams, and people talk about their strategy, and they organically, by the end of the day, will have people that are really engaged in the strategy, like throwing their ideas out there, and then the small groups makes sure that everyone's heard, so it's not necessarily a big group, and only the people that are like really excited get to talk over. And then, besides outlining the required events and the expectations, it has the just other relevant information for the team and like the chain of command, so it's just plain and clear for everyone to see.
Alrighty, so I'm pretty impressed for the towers that have stayed up this long. And I'm going to talk about being the voice of authority. So we've talked about the responsibilities that leaders must have and really embody to lead. But being the voice of authority is one of the most important things to do as a leader. Now, this talks about your public speaking skills and also your authoritative kind of aura when you're there. So what counts in public speaking skills is anytime you talk, whether it be to your team, to mentors, to your sub-team, you have to be clear and understandable. Because if you're not clear and understandable, the people who you're talking to, your audience, won't listen to you as clearly and they won't understand what you want them to do, which leads to a lot of miscommunication. You also want to come in to talking, knowing your topic, and really having a plan of attack. And when you have a plan of attack, you are more knowledgeable about what you're saying, and you really establish your credibility as a leader and just up knowing the topic. And coming with that is to be prepared when answering questions. And it doesn't matter how tough the questions are, you have to be prepared to answer those questions. And by doing this, you really, again, establish your credibility. And to add to the authoritative aura, you want to establish a respectable presence, because in order to gain your audience's respect, you must be yourself respectable. And you want to be that not just physically, but also in the way you talk and the way you act. And again, there's a difference in volume, because I can speak like this, or I can speak like this. And what's important in public speaking is that you have a commanding tone and a regulated volume, but not very dictatorial, because you can tell your team members to be like, can you please write that essay, or write that essay. And those two are the opposites of the spectrum. You want to be commanding, but not dictatorial, but also have a regulation of volume. So we're going to talk about our ILEC leadership structure. This year, we have a co-presidency. Again, I'm Justine, and I'm the co-president of what we call the business or / non-technical side. And that just means that I oversee what's going on in award submission, the business and outreach team, graphic design, and other non-robot things.
And my name is Teddy Todorov. I am the... Thanks, Chargers! Woo! But yeah, basically I'm the technical, or rather I'm the person who manages the technical side of our robotics team. I'm in charge of managing the build, electronics, and programming sub-teams. I give them tasks, make sure they complete their tasks in a timely manner, and basically, yeah.
And by having co-presidents of both technical and non-technical backgrounds, this really encourages the interconnectedness and knowledge from both teams, because people under our sub-teams want to know about the other sub-team, and people from his sub-team want to know about our sub-team. So some of the things that we do as presidents is lead meetings, and these cover full team meetings and also student leadership meetings. In the student leadership meetings, it is our job to really collect the sub-team leaders' information as to what is done and what has to be done. This not only unifies the team, but keeps not the members up to date, but the student leaders up to date, and also the mentors as well, having the head coach there present. During full team meetings, we again go over with the entire team what was discussed in the student leadership meetings, and student leaders, sub-team leaders, get to briefly talk about too. But it's our job to really unify and make sure that they have all this information to be shared.
So yeah,
well, that's only one of our presidential tasks, but we tackled a lot of presidential tasks such as managing the bigger events, the bigger picture events, because we want our sub-team leaders and sub-team members to be really focusing on what they're doing, however, also being aware of everything big picture. But we're there to oversee that and make sure that they are aware of that, but still get to focus. But however, we are also there for our sub-teams when we need to work.
So yeah, so just like Justine was saying, and a big part of this presentation in general, communication is very key in running a successful team. And one of our duties as co-presidents and a responsibility of ours is to make sure the mentors stay up to date with what's going on in the team. We are basically the mediators between the sub-team and the members, or well, the team and the members and the mentors themselves. Yeah.
All right, so you might be wondering how we organize our team under co-presidents. So you've been hearing a lot about sub-teams. This is how we organize it on iLight. So listed up here is each sub-team and their leaders. So for build, we have Nicholas, Noah, and Sam. For programming, we have Ethan and Noah. Electronics, we have Roland and Richard. For graphic design, we have Tony. For web development, we have Navia. For engineering inspiration, we have Hannah and myself. And for sponsorship, we have Omar Metwali. And for some of them, we have multiple co-leaders because depending on the sub-team, the task load is larger. For example, build and programming also grow as a leader. Each sub-team leader has their own leadership style because there are so many different ones. However, like Justine was saying, we all have to report to our coach and our presidents at a student leadership meeting. We manage what is called a work in progress document, also known as the WIP on our team. This is a Google spreadsheet that we update at every meeting. It consists of tasks that we have done and tasks that we need to do. This organizes our thoughts really well, and it also gives our mentors a chance to see what we're doing. Sub-team leaders have meetings with their individual teams after each, so we love to have meetings on this team. And as a leader, we're responsible for our students. We have to make sure that each and every student on our sub-team is kept up to date so that everyone can be working towards that common goal.
Alrighty, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the effectiveness of our structure. So one of the major factors is it leads to a sustainable team. So coming the end of the year, you know, your seniors are going off and you're like, what do we do? We have a plan. So it makes it sustainable with how we lead so that there are people to take their place and so that we can have a good year every year. It makes the team very student-driven. As you can see, we have a lot of leaders. We can accomplish more. We can be more efficient. And more people have a say of what actually goes on. So your student leaders, they kind of represent the rest of the students in a way. And that's why we have a sizable amount, is so that everyone is represented in a way. And everyone gets included, which is a beautiful part of our team. Everyone has their role. Everyone has something to do. They're part of the bigger picture. And it makes robotics more engaging and fun. So we're going to talk about team meetings. I know we've been mentioning a lot of meetings, so we're going to mention the type of meetings and kind of what goes on so that you can kind of just have an idea of that. So the first type of meeting is student leadership meetings. So you just have our student leaders, as you can see. They sit in a room with our head coach. So you talk about any other relevant aspects of the team, including the big picture kind of projects and major issues or events that are coming up. The updates are from all sub-team leaders. They're presented. So each sub-team leader, they'll come up and they'll say, hey, this is what my sub-team's working on. This is what we want to get done, just so that all the student leaders, again, know what's going on. The head coach is the only adult present. The co-presidents lead this meeting. That is one of their roles as well. And documentation is done by the secretary. It's very important to document everything so you can come back and look at your task. What do you have to get done? And just how are you doing in general as a team? And that's, again, very important to do as the student leaders, just to talk about what's going on in the team. We also have, the mentors have meetings. So the mentors are for big decisions, logistics, and things that the students can't do. You know, there's some things that an adult just has to do, let's say a bigger budget. It just has to be an adult. But the head coach is present to convey what the students want and is the intermediary between the meetings. and make sure our awesome mentors are on the same page as us as well. Now, full team meetings happen so that everyone knows what's going on. It's at a designated time every week. I'm pretty sure that, some teams, they might have meetings at random times, and sometimes it's not effective because not everyone knows when to be there and what to happen. So one of our biggest recommendations, one of the biggest takeaways as well, is to always have a designated time for these meetings. All sub-team leaders briefly talk about their individual sub-teams, so they could just say, oh, okay, Build is working on this specific part, or exactly what they're working on. Important announcements are made about upcoming events or what's going on, and again, it keeps the whole team updated, which we have to stress is very important. Again, communication is key. And then there's sub-team meetings. So a sub-team leader has a meeting with their team after the full team meeting to present an overview of tasks. For example, I'm the leader of sponsorship, so I can go to my team and say, hey, we have this grant coming up, this is what we're going to do, here's some announcements, and so that everyone's on the same page within the sub-team. So any sub-team announcements are made, tasks are delegated at this meeting. So you can say, this is your part, this is my part, we all know what's going on. And again, leaders are free to handle this the way they want. Each leader has their own style, and that's just a big part of it, that each leader does what they're comfortable with and works with their team in the best possible way.
Okay, so we just finished talking about how we have sustainability in our team, and we have a plan for the years coming, and we make sure that the team is well updated on everything. And so at the end of the year, we have this ritual. We have the selection of the leaders that's going to carry on the team next year, and then the new students that we're going to bring in comes later in the year. So we have the leadership selection in June, and that is around the time of the end of the school year. And we have consisting of mentors, teachers, and alumni. They get together and they talk about who they think on the team shows the qualities that we've talked about this whole slideshow. Who we think embodies the qualities that make you a leader and not a boss, or someone that will have integrity. And then after that, we inform them that they're going to be leader next year. And so up here, I just have, other than what I said, outlined with the particular expertise. Written application is also an aspect as well, other than just getting to know them, and we're going off of what we've experienced in the team. Each team member that would like to become a leader submits a written application for why they think they are the best leader, and that helps whittle it down some. And so then, like I touched on at the very beginning, in October, before the actual kickoff starts, we have this interview process where we have a selection of general members. And so first, applications are posted and announcements are made, and we have a very big team, as you saw at the beginning. And we also go to a very big school. Our school is actually overpopulated. We have close to 3,000 people at our school. And so we do have a lot of people that apply to get on our team every year. And the leaders go through the applications, and then after people apply to specific sub-teams, interviews are set up and they're conducted. The leadership teams meet after that and they pick the new members. And so we have a bunch of awesome people that apply every year because robotics is awesome and everyone wants to get involved. And so we encourage them, even if they aren't selected, to try to get involved next year or something, and get involved in the actual robotics community, just like through volunteering or something like that.
So next is the evolution of leadership. Right. So the team started off with one president and fewer leaders, and that causes decisions to be made by less people. So we thought we added more leaders and shifted to a co-presidency. This is actually kind of a recently new thing. It was implemented a few years ago. And as it went on, we found a balance of approximately one leader for every 5 students. That way everyone's best represented. Now this isn't like a set formula. So if your build team's comprised of 10 people, you can have 2 leaders, you can have 1 leader. It just depends on what your team's comfortable with and the style that your team uses. And again, it's very important to see what works for your team.
So Noah and I are doing this together, so I just had to walk over and grab it. So we were just talking about how members grow, and now we're going to talk about how the leaders grow. And first, Noah will start off.
Alright, so one of the big things that you need to know is that leaders are going to leave, right? You need someone to fill their shoes, and you want these leaders to be ready for the future. So one of the most important things is getting them ready to work in a professional environment, because they're going to go off to college, or maybe they're going to join the workforce, but they need to be ready and they need to be professional and learn how to become a true adult. They also need to grow from their experiences on robotics. They need to learn what happens and how to think quickly and understand what the best possible solutions are and how to choose that solution.
Through leadership, I've learned so many qualities and tools that I'm going to take on with me to college and to my career.
Okay, so the previous slides talked about how leaders grow when they're in leadership positions. However, I'm going to talk about how a member can grow into a leader, because every leader in a student leadership team in a team starts as a member. So whether you're that new freshman coming in or that really new just junior, you can be a leader in itself. You may be a member coming in not knowing you can be a leader, but in our team we really encourage opportunities that really provide you leadership. New leaders start as members of the team, but they learn from the current leaders, so they'll be able to incorporate what they have learned. In this, you really see that the leaders, as a leader yourself, you're gonna impose leadership tactics on those on your sub-teams or your entire team. However, you don't realize that you've actually learned that from a leader that has led you. So that just shows really the continuity, the sustainability, and the inspiration that leaders has had on you. And if you continue that, then members will continually be inspired to be a leader. And again, we shed light on our shadowing process, which is a really good way to have this. And so as we end our presentation, some little things to remember. The ultimate goal of being a leader is to inspire those around you. Don't be a boss, and be a leader that is loved and commands respect. When we say loved and commands respect, not necessarily, that everybody always dislikes. You will make some things that people will dislike you for, but you have to command the respect for that. You are ultimately part of the peers, and you have to treat everyone with respect to receive the respect you do deserve. And this is our last slide of this presentation, and we really believe in our name. We are named iLight, Inspiring Leaders in Technology Engineering, because here, inspiration, leadership, and the culmination of both is really what drives and what makes our team work. Inspiring leaders, again, we're not going to stop saying that, because that's what we are. We inspire leaders not only through our leadership team, but we inspire leaders within our members. And our members know this because they become leaders when they go out into the community and serve them. When they go into foreign countries and help create FLL teams there. So when we say community, these are all the people who you serve and people who you reach out. So the ultimate goal of leadership is to inspire.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to open up the floor to questions, and for real this time, guys. Once you have a question and I call on you, Johanna or Sam or Noah, we'll bring a microphone to you so everyone in the room can hear your question. We can start right up here.
Hi, okay, so I had a question about your attendance. So you mentioned like the lives and the lives being lost. I was wondering if there was some sort of penalty connected to that, or like if they gained some like incentive to have more lives, or yeah, just more to elaborate on your attendance, please.
So in our student member handbook, we actually wrote down the penalty for losing all your lives. When you are at 0 lives, you're going to get a warning that you can be removed from the team. But mostly we just want teams to be able to prove that they are dedicated to the team. So that's more of a, hey, remember, you need to show us you're still dedicated to our team. We don't like to actually give negative incentives. But so it depends on how you think your students will be motivated best. For us, just having the number is sometimes enough. People are ashamed when they have 0 lives, but then they work harder. So that's kind of how we do that. Thank you.
Yep. And just a quick little note, if we run out of time with questions, our student leaders will hold up signs if you have specific questions based on sub-teams out in the hall. Or we'll stay here.
No, we're go.
Right back there, green.
So you mentioned how you have to turn away members since you have such a large student body, and you said that have written applications for the team. How do you decide on what qualities you want to choose for your team when you're going through those applications?
Basically, so the applications are kind of geared towards what we're looking for. Each sub-team sort of did it on their own, right? So me and Noah, my co-director, we crafted our own sort of secondary application to go along with it. And those were built around the skills we thought they needed. So since we're part of programming, Java was a big part of it because that's what we code in, and different things like that. You just have to find what you need in your team.
Just to go off of that, another example for business would be something like, are you a good writer? Are you a good public speaker? Have you had any experience doing volunteer things? Stuff like that. Right over there. Watcher?
All right, so I understand it's a very student-led team. How hands-on are your mentors with the direction the team is going? How much control do they have on the decisions and what your team does?
Our head coach, actually, Professor Jake, is going to answer that question.
You can tell my voice is gone. Thank you all for coming in and care about them. The student leaders ultimately make the decisions. When we have our weekly meeting and I'm in there with them, I give them the list of the decisions that need to be made. They're not always the decisions that I would make, but it's their decision to make. It is their team. A lot of teams have the continuity of mentors that are there year after year that carry the continuity. Their challenge is how they pass the torch from one student leadership team to the next, because that's our job, is to inspire the leaders to take the team.
All right, right back there. Yep. Keon?
Are your sub-team leaders also involved in actually turning the wrenches and writing your chairman's essay, stuff like that? Or are they more solely managing and all that stuff?
Okay, so our sub-team leaders, the reason they become sub-team leaders is because they do excel in the sub-team that they are in, but it's also because they have the idea of seeing the big picture. So sometimes you see our EI team having the writers, but you also see some of that talent within the technical side of things.
So to go more on that is that, like we were talking about in our presentation, we like to have people informed. So even though you may not be someone that's actually turning the wrench, like the example that you used, make sure that the people on the business team know what was going on and they know why they're doing that and what the build team was doing. So I just like to think that, I know we were hammering communication, but that's because the end goal is so that even if you're not someone that is going to be the person that's writing the chairman's essay, or someone that's going to be designing the volunteering outreach hours and stuff, and what the communities that we're going to do. Our co-president will talk.
Okay, so I'm the co-president, so as you may imagine, I have a lot of responsibilities in addition to programming, which is the sub-team I'm part of. One thing quickly before I go into your question specifically, I'm in charge of them, they are also in charge of me, but in a different aspect. And the thing with that is, as where I answer your question, while I do a lot of tasks manage the build and electronics team, I still go in my, whenever I have a chance, and they give me tasks, definitely smaller, easier tasks than what they're gonna handle, but they still want me to be a part of programming team. So they're gonna, obviously include me. And to answer your question, yes, we do turn the wrenches, I think you said? Turn the wrenches and all that, but depending on your responsibility as a sub-team leader or co-president in my scenario, you might just not get a chance to more in-depthly do what you were, initially doing.
All right, right up here. There you go.
Okay. How do you guys, do you have any recommendations on trying to recruit more members onto the team?
So his question was recommendations for recruiting new members on the team.
Especially in smaller schools.
Smaller schools specifically.
Okay, so when I headed the graphics team last year specifically, I just went into our graphics classes and made a presentation to encourage, talented graphic artists that are in the school that I know of to really join the team. We of course emphasize dedication, but we really entice them to join the team because of how much it can teach them as much as they can, it can change them as well. So that's one thing. You really just go into classes and present.
Another thing I would say to do is, for example, we make all these videos and stuff. Maybe you could make a video and sort of like portray that, or like do that in a classroom or something like that, or send that out. I don't know if you have TVs in all your classrooms, but kind of like show it to everyone so they can kind of learn more about it and things like that. And other things like just putting up flyers and just getting the word out there, sort of.
Something nice about if you go to a small school is you can get really involved. For example, we took one of our awesome robots and we got to drive it around at our school pep rally. And so that really showed the entire school, hey, look at this robot, look how awesome it is, you can be a part of this. And so a good way to just recruit members is to let people know, hey, your school has an awesome robotics team that is recruiting right now. So lots of different ways to advertise.
Similarly, if you're coming from a small school environment, I would not be opposed to reaching out to members in your community. We actually are open to other members of our community. We just have a very large team and have to do the application process. But definitely get the word out there, not just to your school, but to your community as well through your outreach events, that you are a team and you are willing to accept people from all over.
Okay, so at this time, we will be entertaining all of your questions outside where the leaders will be, but we will be watching our summer camps video as we end this. Thank you so much for coming. We hope that you enjoyed and have learned a lot from this presentation. And please, we have surveys up here. We would really love to hear from you and give us a rate on the First Championship app.